Good evening and welcome to the Select Board meeting for the Town of Highgate this November 2nd of 2017. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we'll start with public comment. Do I have any people for public comment? Okay. Arnold.
I have a place for the dogs. My cousin said he'd take them.
Okay. Can you tell us your name and what you're talking about for the board?
My name's Arnold Hibbert Sr. I'm talking about the dogs that were taken off the property by animal control. And my cousin in Swanton said he would take them and watch them for me.
Okay. I was able to talk to the animal control officer again today. And I looked at the dog ordinances again as well, which I put right here somewhere. And the reason that she had taken the dogs originally wasn't because of the barking or the other stuff. And she did say that they did have water and food. Was because of Section 7 of our ordinance, and that is as states: humane care of dogs and wolf hybrids. All dogs and wolf hybrids shall be furnished with clean and safe facilities sufficient to protect the animal and the public health. Any dog determined by the constable, police, health officer, or animal control officer to be without such clean and safe facilities may be impounded. Animal cruelty is defined in 13 Vermont State Statute 352. So that is why she took the dog. She said that the dogs were not well cared for, and part of her testimony was the photographs of the dogs, and I'll just let you look at them to make sure that these are your dogs. So these are pictures that she showed to us.
They don't look like it. It doesn't look like the dog, because they were never like that.
And then this is what they look like after she got them cleaned up and cared for.
Those look like the dogs, but in these pictures, they don't.
So she states that the dogs were in an unclean pen and that she felt that their health was in danger because of the heat. And it's one of the reasons that she took the dogs.
I just really moved them to that pen because we have another pen because we need that pen to put stuff in so it doesn't get destroyed, so we could move it. Then I was going to put them back in the other pen, a bigger one. Is there any way I can get a copy of those photos?
I don't see why not. So her other concern was what should happen to the dogs as the weather got colder, and was another concern for seizing the dogs. What she had done was to have the dogs fixed, and she had rehomed the dogs. So
I was told that the female was pregnant, so how?
She is, yes, or was. I don't know if she has had her puppies yet, but yeah, she is to be fixed as soon as the puppies are able. But I know the male has been fixed.
They shouldn't have the right to have them fixed. Every time I tried to get in contact, I kept getting the runaround. Get in contact with this one. Get in contact with them, you gotta call this one. And all like that. My cousin said he'd take them, because I've asked him. And I was gonna ask him before they were taken, in case it started getting real cold quick, for him to take them. So if I get them back, the female has got to be fixed.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Were you told to come at 7 o'clock that last meeting, or 2 meetings ago, whatever it was, to discuss this?
Yes.
Okay. The board met at 7 o'clock at that night to discuss it, and we were anxious to hear your side of the case, and you did not show up. So at the time, the board voted to have them rehomed. So they have been rehomed.
So otherwise I'm not getting them back.
No, unfortunately, no.
Okay.
It is unfortunately a duty that falls to us that is not pleasant.
Just like our member in Highgate, so had been involved in the same situations.
It's
The worst part of it is like
it is. It is.
Shouldn't be a job.
But our animal control officer was quite adamant that the animals needed to be protected. There are extenuating circumstances for these people that own these dogs that we can't discuss. But no, it's not a pleasant duty. Okay, are there any other public comments? Okay, moving right along.
We have another animal expert here, David McWilliams. He's here representing Channel 15, 16 tonight, but he's probably been through similar situations himself.
Numerous.
All the funs and joys of this well-paid position.
That's what you get when you get the big bucks.
There you go. So what do you have for us tonight?
Well, first of all, Mike Forsaggio, I wanted him to come out there because I guess he knows most of you people. He does it, because he's on my board. I have 9 people on my board. And basically what we wanted to do is come up, test the ground tonight and find out, what's the possibility. We'd like to move our camera. That is at Joey's Junction, and we'd like to put it up here. So we want to test the ground, see what the select board thinks about it. And we install it, we pay for all the labor, all we need is some electricity.
Okay, so what is your camera recording for those folks that don't know?
Well, what they record, right now what they're recording, just a yellow light down there. And we're hoping, by having it, here, we're hoping that we can get better visibility of the town. Before it was at a T intersection, and it didn't seem like it was after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It seemed like all you saw was just a light. You didn't see any vehicles or anything like that. So we're hoping by moving it here that we can have a better quality.
It is. My name is Michel Consejo, board member. I live in Sheldon. The goal is to try to have something that, like when you have a parade, for example, people that live in Highgate that have the cable could be able to watch it. We could be able to make a tape out of it. I mean, so the location now doesn't really make any sense. It's I don't know why he was there, that's before my time. But if we were going to have a camera in Highgate, definitely the place to have it would be somewhere around here. Maybe looking off Main Street and looking up and down. So it's really up to you. We don't. It's not a mandatory thing. You don't have to have it. It's something we provide. We've done that. Enosburg used to have one for a long time. St. Albans has one. We're going to put one in Montgomery. We're just coming. We've expanded the territory to different towns. Now we're covering the whole Franklin County. So. It may be of some interest. This is our mission. We're here to really be the television of the people and to bring as many things that the people do to you guys. So that's all we have. Really.
Does the board have any questions?
No, my take is like for some of the senior citizens or something like that who can't get out to the parade and want to be able to watch it on cable, I think that's a pretty cool thing for that.
Is it live feed?
Yes.
It is live feed, just like it is a BFA Sonoma.
Yes.
Once the camera comes on, it
Stays on all
tapes
the
first.
time.
It tapes.
Does it record at all?
It is some recording of them, right?
It's a direct feed. It's a direct feed. We can put us recording all the time, but what it is a direct feed to our studio, which is at BFA right now. But they're billing out on Franklin Park West, and we hope to be there by March 22nd. This coming year, so.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it'll be a lot better, more room. You haven't had any complaints about my videographers, have you?
No, they have been fabulous. A1 job.
Nice.
That's good.
We'd like to hear that.
Yeah. You'll probably come to me next week and ask for a raise.
Never mind.
Put them on the spot.
Get on camera.
But have you had any complaints about any of our events? Of course, you got a live feed over at the elementary school, so when you have your town meetings, stuff like that, we're able to do it.
No, I think people really appreciate the service that a lot of folks can't come to meetings like this, and they're able to see what's going on in town by that station, and are very grateful for it.
Will you be able to access this camera from the internet?
We could.
I gotta check into that one.
We could certainly patch it. It's not, is it going to happen if you don't ask for it? No, probably not. But if you ask for it, our mission is to serve us, all of us, people living in Franklin County. So if we can do it without, generating expenses that's going to be part of this work, absolutely. That's what we're here for.
I would think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll check with my techs back at the studio. We got 3 full-time and we have about 10 part-time employees, that go around video. We're up in Enosburg Village, Enosburg Town, Richford. We're going to be getting into Montgomery probably after the first of the year. And we get a certain amount of budget that we have for that northeast area, and then how we get our money is through people who have cable TV. And I think you probably get one of the services where your residents can see it on the internet.
Yes.
And a lot of people, we've had a good response from people wanting to see that. So we're trying to do whatever we can to make the public more happy. And if there's any complaints, you can file a complaint with our studio and it's taken care of. Right now I'm having a problem in Swanton. I got a camera in Swanton, but somehow I got to get into the Chamber of Commerce because that camera right there is not working right. So I got to either replace it or find out what's going wrong with it. But all I need to know is if you're going to leave the decision up to Heidi, is where we want to put the camera. And I need it so it has a downward pitch so I can get a good view of the front of the main room.
So do I have a motion to
I make a motion to allow them to put a camera on the building for it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
The only other part of this motion, I guess, would be location, and maybe get with the 3 entities that occupy this, the fire department, town highway department, and try to come up with a good location all together.
So Heidi, you will contact us with when you have thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you said it doesn't have to be on the roof, it can be on the side of the building.
Anyway, if you look at Jones Junction where it is right now, it's underneath the E.
We definitely don't want any holes in the roof.
No.
Enough of that. We have enough of them already.
Say your name, sir.
Whatever we make the town board happy. I know when we first put the camera down there, some board members wanted to know why we didn't put it here. So that's why I'd rather get it off of Joey's Junction, and there's no problem with it, but the idea is I want to get it where I can get better visibility.
Right.
So-
And if it can serve, I mean, that may also serve as a deterrent for some riffraff going on. The people will know that there is a constant loop down that way. So, doesn't hurt anything.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Motion carries, and Heidi would, I'm assuming I speak for her, be happy to contact you.
Thank you very much.
It'll probably take a month or so, because I gotta get a hold of Joey, because it's up, some of the units are inside his upstairs apartment, so. Thank you very much, we appreciate it.
Really appreciate
Thank you for your
it.
service.
Thank you.
And
Yep.
remember, as a select board, you can use our studio to have prior meetings to, as far as informational meetings, before you have major votes.
Yeah, by all means. I mean, it's something we always try to tell the people that live in Highgate, Sheldon, and it is your TV. You can go for free, the equipment, you can have a show, you can do anything you want. So, by all means, use this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We really
Appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, moving on to our ATV discussion. Do I have anyone here for ATVs?
Yes, I'm Justin Rock, the president of Northwest Vermont Wheelers.
Hello, Justin.
Yep. Oh, I'm Danny Hale. I'm the executive director of VASA, which is a statewide association of local clubs.
I'm just part of a club, Kathy Keller.
I'm Tim Joel, I'm trail coordinator for Northwest Wheelers.
Can you tell me what town you guys live in?
I live in Hardwick.
St. Albans.
Milton.
Perfect, thank you.
And so I actually, we became aware of the newspaper article where you had a discussion some time ago, I guess now. And from my standpoint, there was a lot of information, questions, and some not extremely accurate information in there. So I got hold of someone and asked to come up and essentially VASA is a statewide trail association that provides the tools to municipalities to manage ATV use.
Amen.
So what we do, that's what we do. We're not necessarily trying to create anything. Our primary function is to manage the use in the community as the community sees fit. Some communities want to have managed use, some want to have unmanaged use, some want to just bury their head in the sand and pretend it's going to go away. There's a whole gamut of positions that towns take. But the quick facts are the town does have the authority to open or close all of their own roads to ATV use, manage them through an ordinance. That's what VASA, excuse me, VASA suggests towns to have an ordinance because that's where the teeth for the enforcement issue end of it come into play. Prohibition generally doesn't work, so we try to focus on providing some location that's, that everyone can agree is a place to put them, because otherwise we just end up with people going wherever they want. I've been doing this 17 years, so I've been up Franklin County many a times to try to resolve issues. I've been to Highgate at least 2 different occasions in the last 15 years to try to get a handle on things. I'm also the chairman of the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail Committee, and I've been involved with that for about 15 years as well. And this, you may know, we're going to be doing the 1C project, which is this end of the project, next summer, and it's a concern of everybody how we're going to get that illegal use of the rail trail under control. So it's been on our radar in the Franklin County area. I don't know if I believe you should have received an invitation to a meeting last week at Johnson State College. We invited 14 towns, we had 12 confirmed RSVPs, and we had 3 towns show up. So that was disheartening for me because I'm trying to help people and
I think that was a meeting I was supposed to go to, but I couldn't.
Yeah, I mean,
I coach and I do so much.
I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying
I really wanted
it really
to.
took the wind out of my sail.
I'm sorry. I feel like I let you
And
down.
just a little history. The positive of that meeting was we did have the VSP there. They came. The Vermont County Sheriffs were there. Sheriff Norris was there himself. Commissioner of Fish and Wildlife and the Colonel of Fish and Wildlife were there. So the meeting kind of didn't go the exact direction that it was intended to go, but it turned out to be a good conversation with law enforcement about some of the issues. A little bit further update background is that the Governor, Scott, issued a directive to the agencies of transportation, natural resources, and Commerce and Community Development in May to work on resolving some of the issues that we have with ATVs. And that report's due back to the governor mid-November. So, and with that happening, all of the agencies actually, we actually were quite productive this season in getting some things resolved that are going to help better manage the use, both on state highways and potentially in appropriate places on some state land, so to speak.
The problem I have, and we're all having, is we can have all the ordinances, all the laws, all the rules in the world, but if the cops can't chase and stop them, they're not going to.
I wish the sheriff was here. He said he would be, because he and I have had this discussion over the years before. The unfortunate incident that caused the no pursuit policy to become public was some time ago. Was a poor choice for law enforcement to make, and it's still a poor choice for any law enforcement to say they can't enforce the law, because pursuits are meant to be safe pursuits, no matter whether it's on a horse, on a bike, in a car, on an ATV. That's not an excuse not to follow through with enforcement. And in this case, all of your problems are local. No one's coming from anywhere else to ride up and down 78.
Oh no, we could tell you exactly what houses all the problems are coming from.
And I mean, I see you have enforcement in the town. I gotta believe, you know, Highgate's not that big. Everyone knows where these ATVs come to and where they go to. So the pursuit policy has nothing to do with enforcing the statutes. And that's a message that's going to have to be, it was discussed last week. That topic was discussed last week at the meeting with the law enforcement. There's no reason in the world for law enforcement not to be just as effective in Highgate as it is in every other town in the state pertaining to ATVs. We don't have a problem in Hardwick, because if you ride your ATV where you're not supposed to, you get a ticket. And they don't chase you. They go to your house and wait for you to come home. When you come home, they're whistling in your dooryard.
But the four-wheelers all have plates on them?
Well, if they don't have a plate, they can be impounded. I mean, you know, there's plenty, there's laws in place. That's why I was really surprised to see your legislator wanted to introduce a law that they have to be registered. You know, that's been a law for at least 17 years I've been around. And there's been several other laws, and quite honestly, there'll be some new laws coming out this legislative session, I'm sure, to help deal with the issue. Because it's not just Highgate, or not just Franklin County either. But Franklin County does stand alone because of their very public no pursuit policy for ATVs. And that's been you know, we 10 years ago maybe now, 8-10 years ago, we tried to curb the use on the Lamar Valley Rail Trail. We actually had a task force at St. Albans. You know, we dealt with the whole county all the way down to Milton, behind Camp Precast, right at mile marker 100. V-Trans fixed the fence across the interstate 7 times that year. And every time they fix it, 3 or 4 days later, the fence would be cut and they're going
to they cross the interstate over here.
So, you know, these are things, again, that they don't involve pursuits. They involve good old-fashioned stakeout law enforcement, tracking, investigating, all of these tools that they're readily available to law enforcement. They're very effective if they're used. So, you know, that's that. We can't help with that. What we can do as an association is we can provide club resources, try to put managed use in place, and that's really what we're trying to focus on now, is to get some legal trail in Franklin County, because then you have a place for the recreational riders to go. So you've taken one segment of the ATV population that doesn't really want to do, these guys don't want to do the wrong thing, but if there's no way to get from here to there, it happens. It's the way it is. So one way you can alleviate that is giving the people that want to do the right thing a place to go. So the club's working on that. And again, do you have an ordinance in town here?
Not that I know of.
No.
Yeah.
No, and I don't know the lay of the land or anything. I'm just saying, I mean, that certainly is, certainly is, an ordinance can put things into place that allow law enforcement to do things that certainly don't need pursuing. You know, it makes it a lot easier if you gotta have a helmet, if you gotta be registered, if you gotta have a trail access decal, and you gotta have a driver's license. You know, that makes it a lot easier to pick out the people that aren't doing the right thing.
And we don't want to curb legal use of ATVs.
Right.
But we also are accountable to our residents. I have a complaint from a night nurse who cannot sleep because her neighbor's children are running up and down the road where they're not supposed to be on their four-wheelers, and
Right.
this woman has to make a living, and she has a right to make a living.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that, but quite honestly, I get those calls, and you know what I tell them to do? Go talk to your neighbor, or call law enforcement. Either one of them are the only effective ways of doing that. As a trail association, I can't fix my neighbor's kids popping wheelies up and down the road in front of my house. I can't fix that. I can't do it. I'm in Highgate, you know.
Do you have a sense of, you said getting from one place to another, do you have a sense in our town what that would look like?
I don't, and I don't think either one of these guys do right now, but that would be part of what the club could do, is the club could have an organizational meeting in the area, and try to get some interest, because basically we operate on volunteers and peer pressure. Those are the tools that we have. We don't have badges and guns. So, you know, that's how we do education.
I know many years ago we had Vasa trails around by the airport and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
down in the pit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the complaints I had was from people who I rode with. I was probably one of those kids that didn't obey the rules. But
It's the first step, right?
Admitting that you were wrong.
We rode on these trails long before Vasa. We never had to pay for them. Why do we have to pay for them now? And that's the frustrating part for these kids who
It is.
ride out there.
It's frustrating for an old man like me that has to start doing it too, when he's done it his whole life.
Exactly.
But
And
times
that's
have
what I
changed.
heard every time about that.
You know, and in that meeting, the town of Johnson was there, and a good old select guy, nice people. We had a great conversation, but he's talking along, and he's like, well, because they have an ordinance, and you have to have a trail access decal, which is important because that's the funding mechanism to give signs and law enforcement back to the community. And he's talking away, and he's like, well, yeah, he says, about the road, you have to have one, but I only use 7/10 of a mile of it to go to my camp, so I don't buy one. It's like, well, you know, well, yeah, I don't. And then the other guys from Sheldon, a couple of Sheldon guys were down there, and they're like, well, we're farmers, and we just only use it for farming, and I'm like, you know, I understand what you're saying, but you know what, when I get my pickup, whether I'm going down to play basketball, or I'm going hunting, or I'm going to work, it doesn't matter. If I'm using that recreation, or that transportation corridor, I have to have what I have to have. That's what it's really about. It's not about why you're using it, it's about what you're using.
Yeah.
And what it costs to maintain that, and what it costs, honestly. 75% of the work I do on trails in the summer is closing trails out that have been used illegally and trying to make people happy. It's not building a new trail. So, you know, that it's upside down right now. In Vermont, we have there's 15,000 current red ATV plates, The estimate is at least probably another 15,000 that aren't current, that are on ATVs. And there's only, we're like 13 from making 3,000 trail access decals. So there's, a pretty big disconnect between the people that are trying to do the right thing and the people that are just riding. And for a number of reasons, like south of here, northern Lamoille County, northwestern Lamoille County, there's a whole bunch of towns that have opened up all their roads, which again lend to not participating in having to pay extra and obey rules, because right now they don't have to pay extra, they don't have to pay any rules. So it's fine, but those towns are starting to get too much pressure now. So they're also looking to try to alleviate that, and we're trying to make sense of that as well. That's basically what the meeting was for last week, was to try to get towns all in the same room. And you'll be receiving a survey actually that went out today to follow up with all the towns that were invited to try to get some of the questions, just three or four simple questions.
So some of the trail ticket costs and fees, does that go back towards law enforcement? Because ultimately we can put in all the rules and all in place, but Sheriff Norris doesn't work for free.
Right.
So there's got to be some sort of funding that could go towards that to help.
Yep, we have law enforcement funding, and the Fish and Wildlife is the primary enforcement agency, and they've really changed their view on ATVs being part of their duties. They're very aggressively pursuing ATV violations now on their own, and we do hire sheriffs. Although I shouldn't say on TV, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I would hire your sheriff, but yeah, we pay for law enforcement where it's needed if it's a specific problem, and for a site-specific patrol. Never on a private landowner's land unless he instigates it. So essentially, all that is done on public land or roads. You don't have no public land.
So you don't use public land? You wouldn't approach a landowner and say...
We would love to. We use we use town forests. We use municipal land. We don't use state land. Okay. Which is one of the things that's going to be changing. And as far as law enforcement goes, there's talk of some sort of fee change, structure change amongst the ATVs, and I'm sure part of that will be dedicated specifically to law enforcement.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think some of the registration fees, not just your VASA ticket, trail pass, I think some registration fees need to go back to law enforcement.
Well, and they do. We've had MOUs with Fish and Wildlife for years, and we also use the sheriff, so they do. But I think you're going to see that increase, is my only point. I think you're going to see a more direct link to the fee increase or a fee shift for safety, education, enforcement are the ones that are going to get the new money. I'm sure of that. So, but I can't emphasize enough. I'm not sure you folks need anything other than to start enforcing some of the statutes that are on the books. And if your sheriff isn't willing to do that, I can tell you I'm not going to be willing to pay him. Right. We'll figure out a way to do it through another agency or something. But it's pretty bad up here. I mean, all of Franklin County is, and it's discussed on a state level and it has been for years. And part of it is there has to be a cultural change up here. People have to understand that it's not cool to ride on the road. It isn't,
Well, we're going to see catastrophic accidents.
Yes, we've been very
It's
fortunate.
only a matter of time.
Yeah.
We're going to have someone's child be fatally hurt in a head-on accident with a truck, a car, whatever, but...
Tree.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that's proven is as long as everyone's riding like they're like they're doing something illegal, they ride faster than they should. If there's no managed use, they're always trying to get somewhere and they're doing things. It doesn't help. It makes it worse. Is my point. But you have around here all the ATVs I've ever seen are right out here on 78, which is
They are, and at
definitely state statute
65 miles an hour traffic,
you know,
Somebody's gonna
Lights out, then one night.
doing wheelies.
Well, from Salt and Highgate.
so from our perspective, we're a trail organization. So we would be more than glad to put effort in, and we're putting it in anyway, in Franklin County to try to get, better organized. So that's really what we can offer. I don't know what you folks think about how you want to approach it. I mean,
So what would that look like for us?
well, we asked for highway use as connected trails between private property, essentially. So we need to find some place where we have some trail, and then we build off that. Currently, the closest legal trail we have to here would be Bakersfield and Montgomery. This is the closest legal trail we have, so it makes sense for us to try to, go in that direction. There really is no direction to go that way anyway.
Right.
We have to go east, can't go north. So, and south is Chittenden County, so east is the direction. And like I say, first of all, we would probably advertise in the paper and see if we can get some local people. We got to have some local buy-in, because that's really what it's about. It's not, that's us no, us from out of town doesn't do us, we can't do it. We'd love to, but we're not here. And like I say, there's some enthusiasts that are really, and we have Vassal members around here now that go over to our side of the state to ride all the time. That's the peer pressure and the ability to monitor what's happening locally is key. And a lot of it is just, once people start understanding that you're not going to tolerate riding on the roads, and that somebody's going to get a ticket, then people will start thinking about trying to ride where they should be able to not be harassed. That's why I got involved 17 years ago, was because all the places that I'd grown up with my family, out in the woods with a Doodlebug or old Volkswagen or whatever, those places were all now. When I went out and rode my ATV, my brother and I there, people were mad, really mad at us.
Oh yeah. Tom?
Yeah, so I got a question for you. Do you struggle to get landowners buy-in to allow trails? Because Vermont is a...
My answer is no. We have more land to ride on now than we have volunteers to manage.
Because a lot of people will say, well, with Vermont being an act, holding landowners liable.
Yeah, but Vermont, you're not liable in Vermont if you allow any use of any sort. And Vermont's got some of the best landowner liability statutes in the country. So in Vermont, unless you're charging a fee or you do something heinous, landowner isn't liable whether he gives you permission or doesn't give you permission.
Okay, so it's
and additionally,
that's a common misconception.
Yeah, misinformation. Additionally to that, we're part of the Vermont Trail System, which is another statute that again states that the landowner won't be held liable. However, the state of Vermont requires us to carry a $2 million landowner liability policy to be in business. So we provide landowner liability insurance for the landowner, which even though they can't be held liable and it's never lost, they can still be sued. So all our insurance policy will do is basically cover their litigation until they beat it. So, and that's sure one thing I got from the newspaper article was there was a lot of questions. It wasn't inaccurate. There was a lot of I thinks, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's why I wanted to come up here tonight. And we certainly can work behind the scenes with you guys to help you better understand the situation. I certainly can put a bug in the ear. I mean, we're going to continue the law enforcement discussion that I had last week, and that's kind of what needs to happen.
Well, and I
remember when I started 17 years ago, we never wanted law enforcement because we were going to educate. But I got to tell you, I've been educating 17 years, and I feel myself soured on it a little bit some places.
Well, and I think for myself, I agree with you that having no place to ride is backfiring.
Right.
It's not working.
No, and honestly, I don't think we're going to be successful if we don't provide something, and that's one of the big discussions vast and we've been having about the rail trail, is we're not gonna be successful in getting everyone off it for a long period of time. But if we don't provide legal places to recreationally ride, because up here you do have a lot of different uses. I mean, you got a lot of farmers that use it, you got hunters, you know, rise to school.
Right.
I mean, I seen it, I know it's all happening here. So that's a lot of issues to have. People are doing things wrong for a lot of different reasons. So, you know, you can't just take and say one thing's gonna cure it. But if you're, you know, I would say our commitment would be to try to help get the community organized and maybe try to get some trail. We can do that for sure, we're trying now. And we're available for any kind of questions, or if, you know, again, do you want to be specifically included in the law enforcement discussion for this area? We will be having one right off soon.
I guess the only thing that everybody cannot do is parent somebody else's kids. You cannot make somebody else's kids listen.
Yeah.
If their parents
It's not
can't do
even,
it,
sometimes it's not kids, it's grown adults around here that
they just haven't grown up yet.
are, oh my God.
Yeah.
Sounds like
Well,
it's my parent, maybe a little.
But that's the you know, like you said, the kids that are racing while the nurse is trying to sleep. Well, where's the parent to?
Howard.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I'll tell you what,
They should be in school then.
you'll see some changes if you can get some law enforcement actions taken, because, you know, it's happening out there. I mean, I can tell you a couple of different stories. Concord was one where I was asked to leave the next year. A large landowner shut them down unless they got involved with that, so they invited me back. We started a club, had like 6 members. The game warden wrote 33 tickets one Saturday over there, and we don't have a problem getting members anymore. It just happened up in East Haven at the radar range this summer. He wrote 5,000, same game warden by the way, he wrote $5,000 of tickets in one setting. There was 20 of them. It took them 4 hours from the time he stopped them to the time they left. They were all locals, and they all got a really clear message now about where they've been riding. In the same instances around here, they've been riding up there where they weren't supposed to, and knew they weren't supposed to for a long time. And it's not pretty. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people see this. I'm not gonna be their hero. But the bottom line is, you folks have a problem, and we kind of know what we need to do to work towards resolving it. But I don't think we want to get, I would like to see us have a little effort in trying to get some legal trail before we get too carried away with the enforcement side of it. But that doesn't mean you as a board can't make a statement that you're going to start cracking down.
Right.
Because the statutes are all there. That, you know, it's dealing with a state highway or town road. You don't have any ordinance or policy for ATV use in Highgate. So the only roads that are even potentially even allowed on right now would be your class 4 roads.
Yeah.
So any of your class 3s or 2s are closed unless you open them. And I don't know what the makeup is of your town, but you know, that's generally speaking, your class 4 roads are short or dead end, or they don't, which we utilize those.
Right.
And on the plus side, one plus we do have now with the new stormwater legislation is if we utilize your class 4 roads, which traditionally towns haven't had the resources to deal with the water on, you know, that becomes basically our responsibility at that time, because we're using it during the time of the year when it's vulnerable. So it's a plus for a benefit for the town there.
Right.
As well as providing any town roads we use, our trails are always inclusive, they're never exclusive, specifically if they're on a town right of way, so then the hikers and the bikers and the horse people and the dog sledders, everyone's welcome to use it. And, you know, that's something that we, just what we do. VASA has our own trail maintenance program now, where we do most of our own trail maintenance, trail work. So we've got a couple excavators and a whole fleet of equipment and a couple of guys.
Now, would VAST and VASA ever work together on the same trail system?
Yeah, we work together actually all the time. Yep, Cindy and I were together, the executive director were together yesterday. We're working on a bunch of new stuff together. Traditionally, it wasn't a real great relationship, but the last several years, it's gotten better, and they have a new executive director in the last, I think she's been there 2 years now, and we're really moving forward with a lot of projects that we're doing together, and trying to keep both organizations alive. Essentially, costs are astronomical to do what we do.
Sure.
People don't understand what it costs nowadays with all the rules and regulations to try to do a simple thing like build a trail.
Yeah.
So we've shared resources quite a bit.
Does the board have any questions, concerns, any interest in working with these folks?
Interest, yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you have a model town? You know, if we're gonna adopt some ordinances.
Ordinance, yeah, I have a model ordinance, and I'm sorry, I had my whole packet, but good. But I'll leave my card, and we can email that stuff to you. We do have a model ordinance that we've used now for, geez, a long time, and we came to that came from the League Cities and Towns. We worked on it years ago. Essentially, it's just a draft. You guys have the power to say whatever you want. The things that we generally ask to be included are helmets, insurance, and a trail access decal, because that's the funding that. And again, honestly, I think those three things very likely will be addressed legislatively this year at a statewide level. Because part of the problem we're all realizing, the more this discussion from the directive is coming about, is that some of this stuff needs to be dealt with at the state level, because the independence of every town making up its own rules is it makes it impossible for say a warden out on a class 4 road to know if he's in Highgate or Swanton, and he's in the woods, and one ordinance says you can do something and one ordinance says you can't. So his only option is not to write the ticket, because he's not going to write a ticket that can't be enforced.
Yeah.
And those are the basics: helmets, insurance, and trail access decal.
I think we would be very interested in working with your group to
Gotta do something.
to see what our options are, to put ordinances in place, to enforce the law enforcement, but also allow some kind of
Provide some
legal
sort of-
access.
And I know the
For
Sheldon
these
is too.
vehicles.
They came the other night, and they're going to get hold of me, and we're in Bakersfield. We've been in Bakersfield for a number of years, and have actually struggled with some issues. They had an unfortunate incident 2 years ago that really got the community in an uproar, and we'd also provide safety courses, which I think we might have done one here in Highgate previously. In the state of Vermont, if you're between 12 and 18, you have to have a safety certificate. So we do provide that. Quite often, that's a good start to get the community involved, is if we hold the safety course here, we publicize it very well.
I think that's a great idea.
And try to go from that angle, because there are a lot of people out there that really want to just, especially with the advent of the side-by-side, it's changed the demographics of who we are 17 years ago. We were all guys in our early 30s, we're riding traditional ATVs, bushwhacking through the woods, just like I was 50 years ago when they started VAST. That's the way it was. And standard operating equipment, and my grandfather was a dealer, so I grew up snowmobiling. And in the early 70s, standard operating equipment was a pair of fence pliers, because you just rode across the land, and when you came to a farmer's fence, the good guys cut the fence, went through and tied the fence back, the bad guys just cut the fence.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when people started realizing that we have to separate things right from wrong. And some things we had to give up. And today, 99% of snowmobiling is done on a corridor trail that doesn't bother anyone.
So yeah, I think we'd be very interested in
All right.
working together
Yep, I'll leave my card.
to try to come up with some viable solutions to this problem.
We have I'll give you my card.
Perfect.
I have a couple there, I don't know who wants them, but, if you send me an email, we'll have our office, we have some information, a sample ordinance, we have a little small packet on starting a cloud, which you guys don't have to do, but it'll give you an idea of what the cloud part of it is.
Sure, if you can forward that to us,
and-
we'd be glad to look at that.
Justin will follow up with you, and we'll set up something. going into kind of a bad time of year, but we might throw a quick meeting together up here to see if we get any interest. Right now, people are kind of getting out of the ATV and into the hunting, and then holidays, and then snowmobiling, and come May, they'll be all over again, just like fleas, but.
By May, we want to have this
Plan.
situation under control.
Yeah, well, we certainly can have a plan in place. I don't want to confuse anybody. I don't think we want to try to change anything overnight, because it is a cultural thing up here. People, I'm a Vermonter.
A lot of sand pits around here is a problem.
Yeah, and that, I don't know what happens, how the growth is around here, but there's got to be a piece of property around here with a landowner that, we have a pretty reputable program now as far as, how we take care of our trails, and we've got a great relationship with the state and the permit people, and, a lot of things have changed, and maybe some of the landowners around here are, we have, we've heard every reason why we can't use someone's land, so I've worked pretty hard in 17 years to counter why we should be able to.
Mr. Patman?
Kind of on the same lines, is there any incentive for landowners to allow AT?
That is a great question, and Governor Scott also created a Vermont Outdoor Recreation Economy Collaborative, looking at outdoor recreation economy as a whole, and that is one of the hottest topics in that collaborative, because it's been a topic for a long time, but now people are really trying to figure out how to do that. And the bottom line of money is money. It comes to money, and a tax incentive is money. Somebody,
Right,
if you give somebody, if you cut your taxes, then somebody else is going to pay those taxes. So before you know it, it becomes very political. And we haven't resolved it yet, and really right now, there's no direct incentive for the landowner, other than providing the community with resource that may potentially help alleviate the problem that their neighbors are having, But if there's a big chunk of land, 100 acres is enough to start a good place to start, it doesn't take a lot. The good thing about ATVing is if you're in the woods, you only got to be a couple 100 yards down over the knoll, and not building a racetrack. So there's a lot of positives if we get an area started.
And I think some of the landowners would be willing to work with you once they knew that you're willing to look
Right.
out for their property, take some liability from
And we may
them.
want to start in our first meeting, advertise it directed more towards meeting some landowners, just have a landowner meeting.
Now, do you have any trails that are on any land use property?
Yes, yep, our recreation does not affect the land use. And that's one of the places that we originally looked at giving incentives, was through the land use. But there again, no one wanted to give up any money. That money's already spoken for.
Well, see, that land's not taxed, basically.
Well, it's taxed at a different rate.
Different rate.
And I can tell you, there's a lot of people trying to figure out how to incentive.
Can that be done at the town level?
I don't know the answer 100%, but I don't know. I don't think so. I think maybe, I don't know. My thought is, it probably could be, but I think
Because who sets the taxes?
yeah, they set
Town?
the tax rate, and it's based on the state,
So-
so I don't know, that's a very difficult question for me to answer, I'm not an expert on that at all. And again, one of the tricky things is our landowner liability is based on the landowner not being compensated. So that's kind of another little rub there, that we don't want to try to compensate the landowner in a way that we shouldn't, if it's going to potentially expose them to liability.
So, another question, if you don't mind. What kind of land do you look for? Is it barren, is it landlocked, is it unusable for any type of building?
I prefer any land that isn't wet.
Now, there's a question there, and that was the next question. What about the wetland?
Some people prefer wet.
That's right.
I mean, can you use wetland? The state
Well-
can use wetland.
The state will not let us, it will not let anybody in a wet land, but we have a lot of land that is moist in Vermont,
Yeah.
that is not official wetland, that we do utilize, and we have a bunch of different methods that we use. Essentially, if we're in a situation like that, we have to harden the trail tread through some mechanism, whether it's a puncheon or stone or, I mean, they keep a we're on a pretty short leash environmentally, naturally, so that's kind of what we do, is try to make it better, not worse. And as I said earlier, a lot of what we do is reclaiming things, like, for example, I did one not too many years ago, right here in Highgate, down at the Northern Forest Canoe Trail Portage by the dam. We rebuilt that trail under the power line down to where they put the wood structure in. Bassett did that. That was when I was up here in the office with the town manager and see the kids racing down the street.
It's got more.
And I don't remember that gentleman's name, but he didn't even pick his head up from the desk, and it just absolutely blew me away. It was like, I heard him coming, you know, and I'm going, no, no. And he didn't even know. It was just another day at his office.
It's like living next to an airport.
Yeah.
Used to it.
Do any of you guys have four-wheelers, ATVs, side-by-sides?
Yep.
Yeah, so anyway, I got off
Use mine
track,
as
which
a
I do
tractor,
often. The demographics now with the side-by-sides have changed dramatically to where it's either, the young guys like at my age when I started now they have side-by-sides because they only get to ride like Wednesday night with the guys, and then Saturday they ride with the wife and the kids, which is good because it makes things better. As well as the older folks are allowed to do it now, older couples, grandkids, dogs. You know, I know a bunch of guys that got side-by-sides now just so their dog can ride with it.
Wants to get a four-seater just so we can take our dogs.
So, and you know, this is a great example of a couple that, you know, they have quite a chunk of change invested in a side-by-side, and they ride it, and they want to do it legally, and they travel all over the country to do it, and not just all over Vermont. But they're also willing to put a great deal of effort in trying to get trails open in their community, which Milton is not any easier than Highgate. It's a lot more populated, I'll be honest with you, so it makes it more difficult.
Does your law enforcement chase it all down there?
Not
They
really.
just pull you over and tell you, turn around and go back where you came from. Don't want to see you back there.
But they'll pull you over if the ATV decides to stop.
If they decide.
Yeah.
They won't
But,
chase.
you know, that's fundamental.
But they don't
law
ride down
enforcement
Route 7.
101.
No.
We don't have people riding down the main road in Route 7, where you guys have them going down your main road.
Oh yeah.
Everybody at ours, I mean, we live in a development, and there's an officer that lives, I think, in the same development. And he went from here to the road to get on the trail, and that officer had him turn around and go back to our house. So, I mean, and we have the
Unfortunately, that's
plate,
how,
Right.
and we have the plate,
But
we have
that
the registration.
but
all
there
that stuff.
the person stopped and talked to the officer. Here,
yeah.
flip
Well,
off
that's
the
only,
cop
that's
and
only because, that's only
Yeah.
because you have the
You
sheriff
don't want
to tell
nowhere else to
everybody he's
go.
not gonna chase them, that's the only reason.
Yes. Yeah, we
You
have
know, you're brought up, and people are brought up when the blue lights come on, your responsibility is to stop. So, and when you tell them, when I turn my blue lights on, oh, it's even better, I'm not gonna turn my blue lights on even.
Yeah,
Just
we
go the other
oh,
way.
you wave
we
to
have
them.
an issue there.
Yeah, so that's the problem in this county. You can't have the mindset that you don't have to stop for the blue lights.
Right.
You know, you have to understand. And again, this is local. This is not just local to Highgate. No, every town I'm in, the problems are local problems.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you're
Local
out of
problems in my
bounds to
town.
stop.
Right. Yeah.
If we were here and they pulled up beside you, you're gonna stop.
Yeah,
Here's my papers. All right, we're in the wrong.
yeah.
And you go back where you were. So,
Hey, if you do the crime, do your time.
yeah.
Does the board have any other questions?
No.
What would be our next logical step?
I would say Justin and I will talk about what we do. I think we're gonna provide you with a sample ordinance, and you guys can start working on that, and and ask some questions. We have staff right in the office. I'm not there, Danny, our operations director is there. She can provide you any information you need. Put your ordinance in place. That's the first thing you're going to be doing, is telling your community that you're getting serious about this.
Yes.
You know, it's not going to change overnight. And from our perspective, we'll try to put together an informational meeting right here in Highgate, and invite, we'll publicize it on the radio and paper, and invite enthusiasts and landowners that are willing to help us get some sort of managed use in the county. And we'll see what that musters up, and I think we'll probably, can make an improvement. I guarantee everybody I can make it better. I don't guarantee anybody I can fix it, but I'm sure we can make it better than it is right now.
And then it's just finding the place to ride.
Yeah.
Right.
If you guys have.
And I'll speak with the colonel of Fish and Wildlife.
What happened over at the airport? You guys had trails all set up over there. What happened? Lack of member funding?
No landowner change.
Okay.
In the pit. We were never up next to state land. We weren't supposed to be up there on the south down there.
Yeah. And you guys were set up behind John Deere too, right? Down in that area?
Only over to the store. The only legal trail we ever had was from the store to the pit. That's the only 100% legal trail. And then we worked with V-Trans to try to get down underneath the interstate, and they agreed to let us do that at the time. But then the pit changed hands. And then the club ended up dissolving. And then I think it's changed hands since again. Yeah. And these guys just started this club 2 years ago. Yeah. I started a new club back up, and we never revisited this area. We were focusing over Montgomery, Bakersfield, because we still had trail over there from the old club. And I don't know what the situation is with the pit now. That was actually a good place because it allowed people.
A lot of it's solar panels now.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Well, and the town has some land over there. And there are some landowners over there that are all right with four-wheelers, but they don't want the damage. And there has been some vandalism and things,
so
which
that's
of course
what
put off your
allowing a
landowner.
legal trail to come into town does. Because then we have people, here in the community that go there, and I guarantee you we will, because it's pretty populated around here. and between peer pressure and our resources at VASA, we take care of that damage. And that's where it starts, really, is when you get a few landowners, and we started some small areas before that have grown relatively well. and in an area like this, it sounds to me like there are a fair amount of young people riding around here. So if you get those folks kind of headed in one direction, the parents are easier to deal with. The kids are only doing what they can get away with, just like I did when I was that age. So yeah, I would say if we get you folks started with an ordinance and have a discussion with law enforcement. Is there a state police barracks around here?
There is.
Oh, it's over the new one now, yeah. See, VSP's stretched so thin that they really don't have the resources to do much. Fish and Wildlife is really the folks that are most enthusiastic about helping right now. And I don't know if you can reach out to your local warden.
Yeah, they were here a couple of meetings ago.
And what they have to say?
They were standing next to the state police and the sheriff and were playing the "it's not our problem."
Right, see, so that's why I need to be in the room with them guys.
Step in between.
Well, no, because I tell them it's their problem. I'm not scared to tell them it's their
the
problem.
three parties, and maybe have this gentleman come up and we.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think if he sends us that packet and we can get our end.
And I'd be more
done,
than glad to
Well,
talk to you.
I think what we do is maybe in an executive session, so maybe, or open meeting, I don't know, and have VSP, sheriff, Fish and Wildlife, and maybe some of you guys, and we sit down and say, all right, how are we handling this? And
Yeah, but let's come up with a plan. We ain't gonna point fingers, let's figure it out, it's gotta change.
right.
It really does from, like I say, my other hat is
Without the
the
camera,
rail trail chair. There's gonna be, you're gonna see a huge change in the rail trail when it comes through here. Because I never go through West Danville now, winter, summer, raining, doesn't matter without seeing at least 1 or 2 people on that rail trail.
If it wasn't for four-wheelers on the rail trail now, it would have been grown in with brush.
And also, there's, you won't see that
They hammer it
population
hard.
out east of here much, but from here back to St. Albans, you're gonna see a huge increase once that trail's built, because it's really a nice thing. And it's being used, same Cambridge to Morrisville. I mean, we got trail counters out right now, and this summer, we were just blown away by the increase just from last year. And now 68's finished across the bridge down there in Cambridge, so, there's gonna be still one section that doesn't connect, but this is from Sheldon to the end is gonna happen this next summer, and there's gonna have to be no ATVs on that relatively quickly, because
That's gonna be a challenge.
it's gonna be a challenge. And so I would be more than glad to have a meeting. And I'm sure Vass would be here in support of it too. Ken, Vass just recently hired a new project manager because the great one they had moved on. And Ken was at that meeting last Wednesday too. I invited Vass as well because we knew that this was an issue.
Because they hammer that rail trail hard right now.
Yeah, I know. Trust me. I just witnessed it. And I was amazed. I come over through Richford the other day, and the other end of the Missisquoi is nothing but an ATV trail now. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's not what it's supposed to be. So, all right, we took up enough time.
Thank you very much all for coming, and we will be in touch.
Yeah, and we will definitely put together some sort of plan here in the relative future.
Yeah, that would be great.
Holidays are coming, but we'll try to make it happen.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, moving on. Treasurer's update. Shelley. How's the tax situation?
Well, for the amount we had to collect, I guess not bad.
Good?
It's
Good.
about average. We have an outstanding delinquent balance of $230,000, which is just about average from every year, unfortunately. But when you cut just under 4.5 million to the school, we collected a lot.
Yeah.
So there's the check warrant.
So did anyone have any questions about the check warrant?
One thing Heidi brought to my attention earlier today was the climate systems. They bill us twice a year for their annual maintenance.
Mhm.
They haven't been yet, so Heidi said to hold that one until
Okay.
they come.
So that's the $548.
Yes, and they're scheduled tomorrow. So it will probably go out prior to the next board meeting.
Okay.
Once she gets that bill.
Alright. What else do you have for us?
My only other question was, I missed last meeting for funerals and such, but I had a banking investment policy that I had put in your box.
Yes.
Did that
Called in sick.
come? I saw. I do watch them when I miss them. I saw that. No call, no show. Got even
I
got
think I
a.
sent a text about 15 minutes before. Yeah.
We just didn't get it till after.
Okay, so I'll just reprint that and we can do that another time. That's no rush on that. We don't invest anyway, but it was something the auditors had requested that we have on the books.
I did have a question about bushy seal coating at
Yes.
the arena.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did we ever address the situation where it was peeling
Yes,
out?
they came back last week and fixed it.
Perfect.
And then one other thing. You got my email on the fire department floor. I saw Randy was questioning that
Yes.
last time. So there is total to date $45,958 for the floor cost.
Okay. I expect nights to be around 2,500.
Okay.
Because
I
I
haven't
know
seen that
I
bill yet.
spoke to him before he did the last of the compaction testing, and he was at 1,250.
Okay.
And he had asked, "Do you want me to continue with the testing?" And I said yes, because we want to make sure, after all we've gone through, that this floor is
good,
everything we want it to be. So I asked him what he thought the estimate would be, and he thought it would be 2,500.
Okay, so it puts us at 48.
Yes.
So still plenty under the 60,000 that was budgeted for the front part, which was 950. Was that estimate from
To
the
pave.
ACI?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So plenty.
Perfect.
Yay. Under budget is good.
Under
Yeah,
budget.
so just for the record, Dan's Concrete, we paid out $21,170 for the floor. Doug Rollo's Excavating, we paid $19,277. At the same time, we had Vermont Concrete Cutting come, and we had Drumac come to flush out the drains that were underneath the floor at that time, so that could all be cleaned up before the concrete went back into place. An all new drain pipe went back into the floor, so that is now an excellent system, and God willing, last the rest of our lives. So it was a
Now we're
very
experts for that side.
yes, very good job by everyone. Very, very good service.
It was. I will say many people signed up for new payment plans this year, which I'm thrilled about. I think word is finally getting out there. So anybody that did not pay their taxes yet, please come in and see me, call me, email me, set up a monthly plan if you need, whatever it takes to get you out of the delinquent state.
2,000
would be good.
That.
But
it was because of all the.
Probably had one more thing for you, but
to dig out.
it's been kind of crazy around here, so I'm not remembering it. Oh, the audit. We did get the audit back.
Yeah, but I think that was justified.
You done talking, Josh?
I'm good.
Okay.
Never done.
Important things
The audit
happening.
did come back. We're going to go over it at the finance committee meeting, which is November. I don't have a calendar. 13th, Monday, 3 p.m. I'm thrilled with it. Before I put it in front of you, I wanted to, I do have one question for Jordan. I just haven't had time with the tax season to get in touch with him and get my response written as well to go along with that too. But overall, I'm thrilled.
Great. You're thrilled?
Yes.
That's good. And if the auditors are happy, that is even better.
That's right. I put the budget status in Dropbox for you all.
Yes. Yep.
And that's the next project, budgeting.
Yes, budgeting will be the next big tackle.
Middle of November, the week of the 15th, 16th, be meeting with both Pat and Liza. And I think Joe might have a day off or an afternoon off, like an in-service day, that he will come in as well, and or maybe he'll be doing it with you at a meeting and then bring it in. But yeah.
Okay, perfect. So you should be in on the highway too as well.
Yep.
To have an input as to
if there's a day off that you have that works.
As long as I know in advance, that's all.
Okay.
And that goes for everyone on the select board if you would like to be involved in that process.
Before it comes to
you
as a whole, if you want to do a departmental.
By all means, step up. The more we know, the better it is.
Yep.
We plan on talking around the first Tuesday of December for me. No.
Parks and Rec budget.
Yes, perfect, I'll be there. Was there any update on the dehumidifier?
Heidi finally was able to, she kind of took over, which has been helpful.
Do we want to talk about that now? Just in case.
Just gonna let you know that, yes, insurance is working with us and the rental will be covered,
Yeah.
to say the least.
I don't really
So,
want to talk about it now.
good, but just know the rental's covered.
Randy Cool, that
Yay.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know if Shelley's working on it or.
we're on it.
It was a team effort to get an answer.
Actually, I'm meeting them
Takes a
tomorrow morning.
village.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, 9:30, right?
Yes.
And then another one at 10.
Sure.
Okay, fantastic.
That's true.
Thank you, Shelley.
You didn't tell me about that one, I don't think.
It's a new
Wendy,
development.
Yes.
town clerk updates.
Minutes from last meeting, October 19th.
Okay, have we had a chance to look at the meeting minutes?
I can't do anything over here. Over here.
That's right. So do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. This coming Tuesday, November 7th. It's gonna be a fun day. The MVU, you can get this, what's your name, Tracy, Stacy? Tracy. The MVU vote will be on ballot from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We'll be at Highgate School. Shelley and I will be waiting for you to come vote. It is regarding the Capital Reserve Fund. And followed by, at 7 p.m., we have a floor vote on Act 46. So there'll be some discussion and a floor vote, and this flyer is floating around. It's on our website, our Facebook page. There's copies all over town about the vote. So it'll be a long day, hopefully a good day and a busy day. So ballot voting 7 to 7 and floor vote at 7 p.m.
So it's very, very important you show up for the floor vote. This floor vote is going to determine how much input you have into local control of your school. So I don't want to hear any whining after that, oh, they took control of my school. No. Right now, show up on November 7th and vote. We have to vote from the floor because that's how we vote our school budget. But get yourself there and make your input known that we would like to keep local control of our school. We want our school board to control our school. We do not want to be put into a arbitrary combination with other schools and not have enough votes to make a determination about our school property. This is important. Show up. It is not a binding vote, but it is a vote to show the Department of Education that we care about our school enough to show up and vote. So show up, don't cry later, show up and vote. There's my spiel for tonight.
Amen.
Well said.
All right.
All right.
The month of November, we have some office closures, so I don't get any hate emails. November 7th, we're closed because we're at the election. November 10th, we're closed. Veterans Day observed. And the 23rd and 24th, Thanksgiving holiday. So this is published, posted. People don't like it when they show up and the door's locked, so we're trying to get the word out. And the last thing I have is part-time zoning administrator job. It is posted. Applications are being accepted until Monday, November 13th at 4:30. Again, it's on the website, it's everywhere. It was in 7 days, County Courier, the Messenger, VLCT, website, Facebook, it's everywhere.
Fantastic.
That's it for me.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Heidi in the ADA study.
We're finally up, Web. Finally up. So we, as an obligation to the ADA study grant, have to have a final closeout hearing that's noticed 30 days after, to close the project out. We had to have a 30-day notice. So tonight you have bid documents, and Laz was kind enough to come and answer any questions and walk you through the final project. So, and as of yesterday, we just submitted our application for the construction funds. So I think those come out
We'll look at it two at a time.
we will know by February if we get those funds. There's also this gigantic book, project manual.
So ADA, for those of you that don't know, is the American Disabilities Act. We're required under federal law to provide access to our public building for those who might have a disability or have difficulty accessing our building. So as part of that, we had funds originally for a grant to have a study, which Laz was kind enough to do for us. And so this is the plans for the bid.
Where's Shelley gone?
Is that still the break room?
Yeah.
It's a coffee room?
Yeah. You get coffee really close.
It's been corrected.
So the changes include the rear of the building. Changes include the rear of the building to make it accessible. Right now we have a little bit of a hump there that's a little bit dangerous even for us normal, those without a specific disability. We also need to require a parking space and space availability for those with disabilities. The front of our building is going to change a little bit to allow better access. Our bathrooms will be updated, and our doorways will be updated so that we are compliant.
The stairs going upstairs too? Are they getting rebuilt, or is that keeping?
No, the upstairs.
Stairs stays the way they are.
Okay.
Nothing upstairs was done. That was one of the things we looked at when we started it, and it just,
Bigger
the cost for the return wasn't something that was supported.
So in your capital improvement plan that you voted in at last town meeting, there was $80,000 set aside for this modifications. As Heidi just spoke, we have applied for a $75,000 grant. We are in hopes that we can get that grant and give the taxpayers back some of that $80,000. But we won't know that until February. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The correct ones are in your Dropbox.
Gotcha.
Anything else we should be?
Just good luck on the grant. Hopefully it'll be good news.
Yes, thank you. Does anyone have any questions about the project? This is your closeout hearing.
Yeah, you're free to look at the plans if you'd like.
Now, are you also gonna be moving in case somebody comes in with a wheelchair? Is that gonna be dropped down too, so they can see level, or no?
It wasn't required to be because we had the table.
Okay,
Because,
okay.
because that
Okay, I'm just
table's there,
asking.
yeah, you can use an alternate
Okay,
location.
no, I'm just asking, okay.
That's you just getting bigger.
Just the entrance.
There was a grander proposal, but
Okay.
this was, really just the frugal version. And we do meet compliance with the table, so.
So yes,
I
let's
think
try
we're good.
to comply, but not to overburden our
Right.
taxpayers.
Right. Bare bones.
Yep. Okay, do you need a motion to accept the ADA?
I don't believe so, no, it's just one
Just a
final opportunity for
public hearing.
public to understand the project and to have an opportunity to comment, so.
Okay, so do we
I
have
think
any
we're good.
comments from the board? Okay, the public? Okay. Thank you very much for your input.
We'll be hitting you up for some land to ride ATVs, so. It's good you were here. Good you were here. Thank you for coming.
Okay, Heidi, on to the administrator items. Sidewalk.
Yes, I was going to give just a quick update on the sidewalk project. On November 6th, we will be completing the paving in front of the library, so that section will be completed. And then on November 9th, the painting of the crosswalks will occur. So it's going to be a big deal, big day. There will be 5 crosswalks painted in town. So it is likely there will be significant traffic delays. So if you can avoid the village on November 9th, you should do that.
Can the painting not happen during like bus time?
We've talked about those issues, and I think that is the goal, but there is enough that they need to do in one day that they don't want to have too many delays.
No, I
So
hear ya.
I think they're going to try to start in the least, in the area with least imposition at the end of Lampkin,
Right,
because
right.
people can get around that.
Like Gore Road one is probably not the one to work on at 7:45.
Right. But there will be one-lane traffic all day. None of them will be closed completely. They'll do half the road and then open the other. So, but it's likely to back things up, particularly on Route 78. So.
So are we gonna have a grand opening of the sidewalk?
Yes, we are. The date is not official yet, but it is likely to be Friday, November 17th. And that's going to be coordinated with the school and be a walk to school day. And we'll be finalizing details, but we anticipate buses will drop
John wants
kids
to be
off
there, I
at.
can tell.
Well, I think the select board members with children, that would be nice.
We're going to be looking for as many people
sure.
present as possible, actually. And I think that's why they want to do it on a Friday, is because the fire department thought they would have more volunteers on a Friday. So kids will be thrilled to walk to school with the fire department.
Yeah.
But anybody is able to come and volunteer. And the kids would likely be dropped off at St. Louis Church and then walk the entire new path to the school. So hopefully the select board will be represented. So
Absolutely.
great. And I just wanted to mention, because
Ribbon and everything.
the tree removal became quite controversial. Thank you for comments, Randy. And I just wanted to clarify that was a change order that did have a cost attached to it, but this project is under budget, and we still anticipate coming in between $10,000 and $15,000 under budget.
If we had waited, the wind would have
If
knocked
we
them
had
down, 'cause
waited,
it knocked
it's
another one
possible.
down.
Yeah,
You're
there
right.
was a lot of
Timing is everything.
Just put that out there.
It's over and it's done. So
I don't think they were gonna blow over anytime soon.
What was the one that did blow over in the same year? Was that a maple?
It was a pine.
Oh, okay.
Most of the ones are broke or pine because they're a soft wood.
my driveway.
So that's it for the sidewalk. I just wanted to mention that the Better Back Roads grant are due November 17th, and there's a proposal in the Dropbox for
The parent road. No,
the
parent road.
work to be done on the Chart Road. One is at its intersection with the Parent Road, and the other is at the bridge. And it would be setting up some splash pools and slowing water down going over the bank. So if those are agreeable to you, I'll be finalizing that grant to submit for the 17th.
These
So-
are roads that Pat worked with you to identify.
Yeah, Pat and I went to, with Jim Smith, to these sites. They were identified in the Better Back Road inventory. So they are identified water quality issues. So these would alleviate those. So any comments or thoughts on those, just let me know so I can finalize that grant.
Okay. Do we want a motion on it? Do you want more time to look at it?
I think it's good.
Looks good to me.
Okay. Bruce?
I'm fine with it.
Okay. So do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
I just wanted to mention that the next meeting of the Macy Property Development Committee would be at our next select board meeting on the 16th at 6 p.m. But I also wanted to tell that group that the library is coordinating a presentation of their findings for the library relocation study on November 14th, and that may be of real interest to that group. So I think that would be a wise idea to attend that meeting and see what their proposals are.
You want me to ask Heidi if I can take her papers and bring it, not Heidi, Liza?
That would be me.
Yeah, ask Liza if I can take her copies and bring it to our meeting.
Yeah, I think we definitely will want to bring copies to the meeting. But I think it would be really beneficial to chat with the consultant too and get a real feel for where they're coming from.
And it gives you an idea of what will come for your committee.
Because I did see some of the prints they had already.
Yep.
And they do look nice on them.
Yeah, and we just want to stress it's just a concept. It's just another piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
It's just one idea of
I think there are three different.
We got 3 different ideas. I got
Three different.
copies.
You do have copies?
So that's it for me, other than in executive.
Okay. So, let's take the paving bid for the fire department floors first. So, I have been approached by several residents to ask why aren't we doing this ourselves?
I talked with Pat about that, and he said that's totally something they could do themselves. So I asked about price. So the bid to have ECI do it when they're here for the paving was $900, and when they did the hot box for the bridge, correct me if I'm wrong, I was thinking it was under $500. So it would be less. And he thought that ECI was probably charging that much because there's it's going to be a lot of handwork.
Labor.
It's a lot of labor. So he said they don't have a problem doing it, but they are trying to finish Spooner Road, and they've been pulled off it for about a week because of the storm. So
The other thing too is they're running out of time because they gotta grade all the roads before it gets too miserable out there. Plus put plow frames on. So
I just want the public to have a reason why.
now, if we do this, we wouldn't want to do it with just our plate tamper, right? We'd want to use a roller, or a plate tamper would be fine.
You could do it with a plate tamper. It's not that big of.
It's not that wide. It's 2
No,
2 foot.
you-
Yeah, okay, it's only 2 foot.
You could put it.
I mean, I think the guys
Put a
could do
sand
that.
base down.
I would think they could do that, and I don't know, maybe what, 3-4 hours? If that.
Yeah, probably. You have the
Spoon
three
it,
of them.
spoon it into the bucket and
Yeah, like I said, you put a sand base down so you don't have to have so much asphalt, and I don't.
I don't have a problem with guys doing it.
Randy, what are your?
Sounds good to me if they're able and.
That's even, I mean, it's not, Spooner Hill, they can't really do that when it's sprinkling or anything because they're working on ditch and they're gonna create more issues, you know? But if it's spitting rain or sprinkling, I'm sure that could still be done over here, you know? But I think they can handle it.
Bruce, what's your
I
pleasure?
don't have any problem with that. If Pat thinks it's doable.
So, do I have a motion?
Yeah, make a motion for town guys to
Okay.
get some pavement and fill that in.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Alright. So, let's go to snow removal bids. We had 2 written snow removal bids. The first one was. You want to go ahead and say it, Josh? I have it right there.
Oh yeah. The first one was
I can't remember all the details.
yeah, I think it was like 4,000 to do it for the year. Or
So Baker's Landscaping
yep,
are willing to do the sidewalk for $4,000 for the season.
yep, or $115 for each time. And that's snow removal bid for sidewalks per time and spot cleanup, snow blowing sidewalk, and salting or sanding per time is $115 or $4,000 for the year.
So that's
Say whichever is greater, or do you have to pick an option?
You pick an option.
yes, yeah. The way we had put our FP out was
Okay.
This is just for the sidewalks.
that's just for the sidewalks, cleaning, sanding, and then your other bid.
Times 115 before.
Then your other bid, Josh.
Yep. Sorry, we're trying to figure out if you
It'd be about
115
34
times,
times.
it's 34 times. I mean,
Okay.
you gotta do all the research, otherwise you can just.
Yes, that's right.
The other one was Menard Snow Removal, and he came in as to do it for the whole year at $31,000. I did not see
Includes salt,
salt. Yeah, both include salt.
5-month period.
I don't see for an each time bid for that though, do I?
No, I didn't see it.
In your RFP, did it mandate when they would have to go out and service the sidewalk?
We
Like snow now?
The end of the snow.
It did. It's centered around school, before school, so that if children were to use it, and before, yes. So it also is at the discretion of the Public Works Director if it were to begin freezing rain or
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Yes.
In the event of an ice situation versus snow. How much snow and
right. So does anyone have any comments, questions about the bids?
I'll look at something.
We did it. I did the math on the $115. It'd be 34 times before it reached the 4K.
And we put snow greater than 1 inch or as needed. Ice melt when conditions
And
demand.
this is for 1,600 feet.
Yes.
This is gonna be a reoccurrence every year.
Well, this is a 1-year shot here, and I think we may look at equipment and do it ourselves. But
we don't know.
Yeah, we
do
don't
not know at this point. This
This
is
is a 1-year shot.
yes.
Yeah. Or one season.
One season.
Then it'll go through the bidding process again, or
Yes.
a different way to look at it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there any reason why we didn't look at it, getting equipment this year and handling it this year?
Because you don't have a budget for it. So we don't have a way to pay for it. So
It wouldn't come under, our maintenance system that does the roads and that budget?
no,
And
that
yes.
budget's already been pre-planned. So we try not to purchase anything that we cannot provide an income source for. So we try not to spend your money before we have it.
Have we at least looked at this present time, equipment cost?
Yes.
We started getting some estimates because we're looking at a potential, maybe a tractor that can do multiple things. Do sidewalks, Parks and Rec could use it in the summer. You know, we're trying to pull all the
Would
departments
that
in
be
and
ready
get.
for this year's town meeting and then the budget?
It would go under the CIP because it's more than $5,000, and I believe the Planning Commission has their CIP pretty well finalized, and I don't believe that's in it.
So that means we're gonna go 2 years on this, not one.
There's
Doesn't
definitely
mean there
that
couldn't be a
possibility.
separate article.
That's
That's
what
what I'm asking. Are we going to produce it so it'll be ready somehow for this next town meeting? So we don't go 2 years, we go 1 year.
you go to the next CIP meeting and get it on there.
I think we're open to input.
Absolutely. We haven't been presented with a CIP plan yet, so we don't even know what's on it yet. You know, so if you have input like that, yes, go to the next CIP meeting, give them your input on that, and they'll talk about it. And yes, if that's the plan, if that's what the taxpayers would like.
She
There's
just said
nothing-
it's almost it's completed.
I haven't seen it either. I'm not a part of the Planning Commission,
She
but I
says
do know
it's
they've
close
been
to-
working on it the last few months.
Close to finalized. That means it's not finished. It's not finished until the select board approves it and it's on the
Is
ballot.
there any select board people that are on that committee?
I am not.
There's
None
nothing
of us
stopping you
are-
either
No, I
during,
understand.
no,
I'm-
listen,
I
from
understand.
at town meeting, standing up and asking that to be added to the CIP. That's also a possibility. And that would start good discussion with all the voters.
But to answer your question, yes, I attend all of the planning commission meetings as well as all of the other meetings in town. So yes, I do have an idea of what's on that CIP and an idea of the expenses that are incurring for the town, some of which we have no control over. That will have to be
So
funded.
you could present this idea, or this, what I'm talking about, at the meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There's no articles been warned yet and nothing. I mean, we're still
And-
quite a ways away.
And it has, as Shelley mentioned, it has been a part of the discussion, and Ty's been present for a merging of needs so that when the town does make a purchase, it's serving as many aspects of our duties as possible, so that the rec department has an attachment that can serve them for the trails. But it is something that is worthwhile going to the meetings, because they're not just looking at that one item, they're also looking at, does it make sense for the town to purchase equipment versus lease versus subbing it out?
Well, I understand.
It isn't always a clear cut.
You're already starting at a figure of 4,000 for 1,600 feet. And we know there's gonna be a lot more sidewalk put in. So now that's 16, if it gets doubled, now we're talking 8. And if it's doubled again, how much we're talking, you know, the price is going up.
Well,
So the cost of the equipment,
we're
that
throwing the cart way before the horse. So let's look at this logically and deal with the sidewalk that we have now. At $4,000, it might not be feasible to rent, lease, or anything else.
I agree. Just saying that
we've
got a lot coming down as far as footage. The price is always gonna go up, not going down.
To answer your question, we are
And
thinking about it and we are doing the
this-
research on it.
This has been brought up at one of the town meetings. When we started talking about the sidewalks, before it got voted in, about snow removal. So it should have been addressed right after that, right after the fact that it got approved,
You're right,
not now.
but you're talking to the wrong board.
Right. None of us had any input
That's
into
what
that
happens.
decision. We spend basically, right now, we spend probably 80% of our time going through things that we had nothing to do with.
No, but it was brought up to this board, because I was in here when it was brought up to the board,
Yes.
this board. And nobody did anything, obviously, because now we're going to.
Oh, I think
why
you're way
is
out of
we
line
involved-
saying that.
So why is this board involved with it now if you're saying it had nothing to do with this board, is what I'm trying to.
The board had no decision. This decision was already made prior to this board. This board has been left with the chore of putting out an RFP, which has been done, to get a bid, which has been accepted, or is about to be accepted or rejected. We have looked into the cost of rental and new equipment. We have to look at what the future will hold, whether there will be additional sidewalks. We don't know that for sure. We have to take this all step by step, but right now this board has been left with the consequences of a decision from a prior board, which we are dealing with. So, yes, this board takes all of these decisions extremely carefully and tries to weigh the options. There's nobody forgetting to do anything.
So where's this money coming from?
The $4,000 will have to come out of the highway budget as part of your public words.
If I said all the money in the highway budget was already spoken for,
It is.
so where are we getting the 4,000?
It was put in that budget for a rough amount. We know what we had left over from last year's budget, so we know about what we can afford to spend out of this.
But we are looking at it. I mean, don't think we're not thinking that option. We're certainly thinking that option. I mean, we even looked at potential of a town nearby selling their used plow machine for it. We have looked at that.
You're right.
But a new one of those units is what, $100 and something thousand? Does that justify 1,600 feet sidewalk? When you can do it for $4,000 and then plus maintenance on that? I mean, that's a lot of years. So we are looking into it. The CIP is taking input from all the residents of what they feel we should have, and that's where it's going for. But yes, we're well aware of a unit that's secondhand that could be coming up for sale in the near future. And yes, we'll absolutely get pricing on that and figure out if that makes sense.
And if I remember right, there was also another suggestion brought to the board at that particular time. And that was to have the property owners take care of the sidewalk in front of their property.
Yeah, and if the sidewalk was going by your house, would you like that?
I've done it before, I absolutely would. Okay? I don't particularly get any value out of the sidewalk at all here in town. I don't live in town, but yet my taxes are paying for all this extra stuff. Okay? So, but anyway, that was the suggestion.
And to back that up, the voters did vote for this sidewalk to be put in.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And
that doesn't mean people out of town voted for it, okay?
But the town voted for it.
I understand.
So
it's a 51%.
It is.
Whether we like
Fortunately, that's
it
the
or
way
not.
towns work.
Now, hey, what are you going to do on this? Then how are you going to handle this when the sidewalks have been cleaned? Now, if somebody does their driveway
Yep.
and they block the end of the sidewalks. Are
Yep.
we gonna pay for the extra to go out and have him clean that up
Was
when
that-
he's
was
already
that in
been
the
through there?
It is.
Yeah, I think that was in the RFP to have to go back and maintain that. The RFP's been published for a while, so
Does
did
it say
you
that?
have a chance to read
Doesn't say
it?
that in there,
I thought it did.
Yeah, it does.
that they're gonna clean other people plowing their driveways after it's been through and it's done the job?
Well, hopefully, our residents are conscious enough to help out with that as well. You know, I don't think anyone wants to completely block a sidewalk that's just been plowed with their own driveway plowing. I think our residents are more conscientious than that. Perhaps I'm wrong, but I'd like to think the best
Okay,
of them.
you'll find out.
I will. But to answer your question about whether you pay for the sidewalks, I don't have any children, and a great deal of my taxes go to support the school. But I have no problem with that, because the school provides a purpose for this community, and I want our children to have the best. So I have input at public meetings for the school, but I pay my school taxes with pride and say that it's for the better of the community. So, gentlemen, we have 2 bids. Would we like to vote on the bids? Do I have a motion?
I think it's Baker's. I'm not sure if the 4K or the per.
It snows every day, 1 month, 30 days.
I would move to accept Baker Landscaping and Property Services bid for $4,000 for the season.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Motion carries. Can you please let Bakers know that they have received our bid. Okay.
We also talked to this town about plowing it too, and they didn't want, or the school to do it too, and they didn't want anything to do with it, so.
Okay, so Platte Road.
Let's go on there again.
So Platte Road is the small triangle of land
Oh, yeah.
that has been offered to the town to buy. But Pat has gone out and measured the town's right of way. It doesn't leave you with much actual land that would be purchased. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that. There was talk of taking the concrete at the bottom of the triangle out and making that lawn to improve that corner. But that's up for discussion.
I don't see the benefit to purchasing it.
I would agree with that.
What are we gonna do with that? As far as replacing it, the concrete and getting rid of it, I just don't see the benefit of that for us either.
Is that piece of property in Highgate Springs?
Yeah, it's just a little triangle between the roads.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Tiny.
Yeah. It's
I think
really-
it was actually the top part, which would make her green space bigger.
Yeah.
And I don't think like if you own a boat and you're coming down and you want to hang a left, you're not making the turn.
Right.
And I know Josh talked about widening it, but I still don't. The English language is tricky for me. But you would have to widen it a great deal for a pickup truck and a boat. I don't see, honestly, I don't see any reason to do anything with it, but.
Who owns the property right now? Does the town of Highgate owns the property or the woman that owns it?
The woman has title to the land, but the town has the road right away to the property on both sides, so it's.
Both sides, okay.
Yeah, there's very little that actually doesn't
I know what you're talking
belong
about,
to
yeah.
the town.
Yeah.
Bruce, do you have?
I don't see that it benefits the town any.
Josh?
No, I mean, I don't think purchasing it's the way. I think if I recall, if we got rid of one section line of road and then giving that to the landowner, so their green space could be bigger, and then changing the actual corner and intersection and making that better, but just basically changing the right of ways, but no purchasing, no money, no nothing like that. I think if there's anything to be done, that would make sense, but I don't see purchasing or. Good pull.
Heidi, do you have any other knowledge about this that we do not have?
I think she was just interested in entertaining any ideas the town had.
But if you're coming here and you want to get a boat.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You give her this,
Like
and
a
you make this
stormwater
difference.
capture area or something to
like-
that effect.
Benefits one.
Right.
So, are we in agreement that it is of not enough benefit to the town to justify a purchase?
Not just the town, but overall residents of the town. Like,
Right.
I don't.
That would be the town manager.
Municipality nor residents. I don't see. Well, if Pat, for instance, was plowing all this, or wouldn't save us any. Wouldn't.
Okay, so do I have a motion to put this issue to rest?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
A second.
alright. So, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Please inform the woman that we appreciate her offer, but are declining.
Will do.
Roof bids. Have we had any roof bids?
We have not. Sorry to
That's a
say,
bummer.
we received 0 in response to our RFP. I have, however, heard from 2 people since that time and said they would submit a bid. So I said, well, we can still take bids because everyone had a shot at the
Yes,
same
yes.
time. So, and I believe that Rich Wilkins was still attempting to
Yes.
get another bid. So we have nothing in hand.
Okay, so, for the record, we are still open for roof bids. Come one, come all.
Did Todd ever get pricing for striping over at the rink to put in this year's budget?
He was supposed to be making calls today.
Okay.
I gave him 2 phone numbers to get 3 quotes. He already got one.
We're probably gonna get the same quote twice.
Okay, so office changes for the new zoning administrator. So we need a place to put a new zoning administrator.
See on the print, there's a closet.
That's nice. That was Shelley's spot.
Oh, that's right. That was Shelly's spot. Sorry.
You mean the coffee room?
No, there's actually a closet right here.
We're getting punchy.
So there's been some discussion of whether or not we could work with the fire department to maybe change the structure over there a little bit to allow for another office there. So,
Well, I think we should get that on this drawing. Right?
so do we have any other ideas or have suggestions?
When you say structure, you mean putting
Maybe we could make their office more in the back as opposed to the
take
front.
their office up front.
Well, I'm throwing that idea out there. Nothing's in concrete. I have not approached Joe about it yet, our fire chief, but the idea had been mentioned before, and maybe he would be willing to do that. Maybe he wouldn't. Maybe we could use part of the back. But we will need some place for this person to conduct business, hopefully in at least semi-private environment. So it's
Yeah.
something that we need to address. We don't need to make a decision right now, but
No, I think
it
we need
needs to be a heads
if
up.
we're gonna approach Joe with it, which he's gonna know first thing tomorrow morning, I think.
He already knows I've talked.
Obviously, we need to have a plan for him first to say this is what we'd be willing to construct or.
Yeah. And the fire department is doing some remodeling now, doing some painting and getting ready to put the fire station all back together. So maybe now's the perfect time for that to happen. So, so
Guess
that's
we'll
a
walk
heads
through.
up. Yep, there you go. So,
Any other items?
Maybe we should tag a couple people that want to manage that, connect people and have some discussions about that so we could start moving that forward.
I'll volunteer.
We're around, yeah, sure.
There you go. Okay.
I heard Wendy and Sharon.
Yep. So we have come up with a slight problem, and I'm going to throw this out to the general public because Heidi brought it up this morning when we were talking. We have. Were you able to reach the B-Tran today to find out about our bridge documents?
Oh, okay. I don't have any more information than I had this morning, and that isn't necessarily to do with B25 with V-Trans. That's because I didn't have time to reach out to them today. But
so we may be in another stall situation with the B25 bridge. We have not heard. The bid documents were supposed to go out in September. The closing has not happened on the Maishi property that we had put in money for to get this project moving.
And the tenants haven't been relocated.
Tenants has not been relocated, and Heidi was told that the tenants would be able to live in the building after the closing, which is not the agreement. The agreement was to have that place demolished this fall. So we need to grab a hold of somebody. And
who's our V-Trans rep we're dealing with? And then who's his boss? That's who we need to talk to.
The right-of-way person seems to be the flaw in this particular plan.
So who's his boss?
We had a conference call with him.
How'd that go?
Didn't go very well, did it?
No.
That was somewhat of a joke and very disappointing for folks that we pay their salary.
Heidi, is that the same guy that was in here not that long ago?
That would be the one that showed up, yes, the interesting looking fellow.
Yep.
So I think we need to hold his feet to the fire. And I
His
agree
boss.
with the Josh
Go
that
over
his
his head.
boss, yes. This is ridiculous. The town has
We
stepped
keep-
up
we
and
keep-
tried to get this project.
And they
on
agreed
track.
to it all. And we have an email saying they agreed to it all.
Yes, and unfortunately
So,
they are not holding up their
it's-
end of the bargain.
It's time to get mean with
I'll
them.
go right to the top.
We gotta.
Yeah, this is a
I'd like
lot
to
of
say I'd like to say degree's gonna help, but I've called him a couple times and
this is a lot of money. This is a huge project for this town. The town has gone above and beyond to keep this moving, and we are frustrated, to say the least, about what is happening. So Heidi, please continue to reach out to our right-of-way person and his boss.
and his boss.
I am
Keep
happy.
going till we go to the
yeah.
top. I mean, you obviously. I mean, same thing happens at. You just keep going till you get someone that's going to work, and squeaky wheel gets the grease down there. I'm sure.
Yeah, so we need to beat somebody to find out.
I mean, Dustin's on the HC of Transportation. You'd think he'd be an asset and help us out, being from our area, but I don't know. I'm pretty disappointed in him.
So we'll need to keep on top of that, but I wanted everyone to know that we have an issue again and that we need to put pressure on the state to meet their obligations.
How do you get a hold of like the governor?
Oh.
He has a hotline.
Yeah, call him, he's got a hotline.
Are our lawyers involved in this?
They have been to some degree, but we had thought we had the issue under control, and unfortunately, when you go back for the fine details, there always is some little gaffe that someone didn't follow through with. So we're not going to let them get away with that. We're going to hold them to the fire, and we want this taken care of.
Especially if you've got written documents and everything.
We have written documents, we have promises, we have landowners involved, we have right-of-ways and all kinds of things that have been transpired, and
Then you need to push forward.
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah, so we want to hold them accountable. So that is an issue that we are again dealing with, and we'll be spending some time on as well as the budget cycles that are coming up. So it's another thing that can't be forgotten. So, does the board have anything else that they'd like to talk about?
Nope.
In light of V-Trans lack of action, what's happening with the Mayshire Road?
The Meiji Road, we've received that grant and we've signed that grant. So
No, we haven't signed that grant. We,
we signed for the first phase to go forward.
I don't think we've signed a grant yet. I'll have to, I'll pull up the grant
think you did.
update.
We signed something.
Yeah, you did.
I thought we just signed to accept it.
Well,
I
it's all BC.
don't think we actually got a formal grant agreement, did we?
Oh. Okay.
I don't think so. We said we wanted to accept it. So we
Okay.
signed a letter saying, yes, please.
Okay.
But until we actually get a grant contract,
Okay.
we can't proceed. But hopefully that will be soon.
Okay. So as part of that, the Meiji Road, of course, as we know, is falling into the river inch by inch, and requires some major attention. So we have accepted a letter to attempt to accept the grant. But along with that comes a large portion of what's going to be in the CIP, which is the $180,000+ that's required as the town's share of that project. So we are attempting to keep our taxes where they are as opposed to trying to raise them. So if that's the case, 180 something thousand out of our CIP does not leave a lot of extra money. So that is another issue that we're dealing with, but we cannot allow the road to crumble into the river. We do have residents there. We have residents that are close to that collapse that we need to take care of. So that's what I know about the Meiji Road. Nothing fabulous. Sorry.
No, it's pretty much.
So.
Did you want to mention on camera boxers?
Oh, yes, please. Thank you. So I did want to follow up a little bit on the boxers that were taken, that had eaten the goat and terrorized the horse. The young boxer has already gone to boxer rescue and has been fixed and is in training to go to a new home. He has been transported to New Hampshire. The older dog is not being adopted here, contrary to the misquote in Facebook. They were only looking for a foster home until Saturday. And Saturday morning, he is on his way to New Hampshire as well to the Boxer Rescue and will be fixed and trained and rehomed. So it was a successful saving of the animals, and those animals will go to their loving forever homes. So we want to thank the owners of the dogs for giving them up and allowing us to save them from euthanization. And hopefully all will live happily ever after. So if there's no other public comments, we will entertain a motion to end the...
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
To legal.
Yes, we will enter into executive session for legal and contractual issues. We will include the town administrator and Mark Gilbert.
To discuss dehumidifier as well.
Yes. So thank you very much for coming. Have a lovely evening.